Hello, my fellow gamers and horror film fans. Welcome back into the Chrono Cabin, and welcome to the Weekend Watch and Play Edition. That's right, everyone. It is the weekend, and this is where I love to talk to you about all the horror content I will be watching and all the video games I will be playing over the weekend. So as always, we'll start with the horror content, and then we will move on to the video games. First up, we have The Boy. A nanny is hired by a couple to look after their boy, except the boy is a doll, and the couple treat it like a human. Yeah, this one could go either way. I'm going in with an open mind. You know what kind of captured me? You know how on Netflix, they oftentimes play those little clips of whatever movie you might be looking at? Well, the clip just kind of got me because it made me laugh a little bit. At the same time, it just kind of compelled me to watch this. Yeah, so we'll have to see. Now, this came out in 2016, mind you, but when I saw basically the premise of this, it made me think of M. Night Shyamalan's The Servant, which is on Apple TV. By the way, if you haven't seen The Servant, I highly do recommend that because it is a great, great series. And I know that M. Night Shyamalan has been kind of hit and miss with some of the content that he's done, but this, The Servant, it makes up for everything. I think it's really, really great. I really like it. And they're coming out with, I think, the final season in January of 2023. So if you are thinking about trying out Apple TV on a month trial or whatever, definitely watch that one. But I digress. And by the way, The Servant came out in 2019. I'm not saying that The Servant copied this movie, The Boy. I've never even heard of this movie, The Boy. And it's a very different scenario, but it's just weird. It just made me think of The Servant. But at any rate, yes, I've never actually heard of this movie, and I always hope to find a hidden gem in there somewhere. Trailer looks kind of interesting. You know, demonic dolls has been done quite a few times. There's Annabelle Origins, which, by the way, I do like the Annabelle series. I do think the Annabelle series is genuinely creepy. I don't know if this one is going to compare to the creepiness factor, but demonic dolls go all the way back to the early Twilight Zone episodes in the 1960s. There were some episodes, you know, with the famous dummy that is actually alive, and you have the ventriloquist. Great, great episode, by the way, but let's not forget Chucky, although that's a little bit of a different scenario. By the way, if you decide to watch this, there's actually The Boy Part 2, and it stars Katie Holmes. Didn't see that one coming. So they've actually made two. Now, I think Katie Holmes is a good actress. She kind of fell off the radar, I think, for a while, but you know, she's been in some interesting movies like way back in the day. There was one in particular called Ice Storm, and if you can find that one, I highly recommend it. It's not horror related, but it's definitely a very interesting and kind of a depressing movie, but really well done. Both of these are on Netflix, so do with it what you may. All right, the next movie is The Banishing. This one came out in 2021, so it's a little more recent, and this one is a Shudder original. A young reverend and his wife and daughter move into a manor with a horrifying secret. When a vengeful spirit haunts the little girl and threatens to tear the family apart, the reverend and his wife are forced to confront their beliefs. They must turn to black magic by seeking the help of a famous occultist, or risk losing their daughter. Yes, again, this is a story that's been done time and time again, or a plot line that's been done time and time again. This one kind of looked a little interesting to me. It takes place in England in 1930. So this is kind of a period piece as well. And period pieces can be a little ambitious at times. You have to get the right kind of props, like classic cars, right kind of furniture, to do it well. And judging by the trailer, this looks pretty convincing. I mean, the production value looks pretty good. This does look to be a bit of a cerebral, supernatural thriller. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to have a lot of jump scares. I'm thinking not. It's more just going to be kind of a slow burn type thing. I'm not always a big fan of cerebral type horror, but sometimes I like it, and I'm interested to give this one a shot. Now, apparently this does take place in one of the most haunted houses in England. You know, there's really haunted locations in every country, and I guess this one centers around this very haunted mansion. So just the setting, England, the time period, I think it might be kind of interesting. Now, one of the main reasons I'm picking this movie is because I like the director. The director is Chris Smith, and he did a movie that I guarantee most of you have probably never heard of, and that is called Triangle. Now, I'm not going to be watching Triangle this weekend, but I thought I'd take a minute to talk about it because I do think this is one of those hidden gems that I came across. It's not a very well-known movie, but I do think it is a great, great movie and it deserves more attention. A group of friends go sailing off the coast of Florida when a very strange storm comes out of nowhere and capsizes them. They find refuge on a passing ship, and this is where it actually gets very interesting. You might be thinking this might be a little like Ghost Ship, but it's not. They go a completely different direction with it. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to tell you too much about it because it's better you just watch it and experience it. I guarantee you, though, you will find a very creepy scene in that, or at least I found it extremely creepy. It was just this one scene in particular, and if you watch it, leave it in the comments what scene you think that is, because you'll probably know it when you see it. And it's one of those visuals that's tough to get out of your mind. But really, it is an excellent movie, and it kind of goes into this paradoxical kind of situation where you're wondering, how is this going to end? And I think that's what really it's great about it. Now, you may be thinking the movie's called Triangle, it takes place in the Bermuda Triangle, and you might be right in that because it is supposed to be off the coast of Florida. But the reason the movie is called Triangle is because that's the name of the sailboat. The sailboat is called Triangle. So it wasn't per se named after the Bermuda Triangle, but it might as well be the Bermuda Triangle because this is something that would seemingly happen in the Bermuda Triangle. But interesting fact about this movie, it was actually filmed in Queensland. Now, here's another interesting fact for you. Florida and Queensland are both known as the Sunshine State. So if you're in Queensland, it's called the Sunshine State. If you're in Florida, it's called the Sunshine State. A little interesting fact I never knew about. Queensland really does look like it could be the Florida coast. But I highly, highly recommend you try this movie out. And if you have Shudder, you're in luck because right now, this movie is on Shudder. This movie does jump around a bit. I've seen it on the different platforms, but hopefully it just kind of stays put here on Shudder. It's definitely worth a watch. I've seen it like 3 times, and I have a good friend, Kevin, who came over one night and we decided to watch a movie. I had already seen it, but I recommended we watch it, or I watch it again with him. He had not seen it, nor had he ever heard of it. He's very picky about movies, horror movies, and it's really kind of tough to get him to say like a movie's really great. But when he watched it with me, he was like, yeah, this is a really good movie. I think it deserves more attention. Maybe we can change the fact that it's not very well known and get a better following for it because it's well deserved. Now, let's move on to the gaming. All right, so first off, I am playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's right, I'm playing that on my PS5. This is a game that, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know I've been looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I really am. And I'm about maybe 15 hours into the game, and so far, it's super fun. Now, I'm a Borderlands fan, and obviously this game is very Borderlands. To me, it's a little Borderlands meets Skyrim, but comedy. It's got that very typical Borderlands humor. I think the game looks great. I really like the menu system and the UI. I think they cleaned it up a lot, especially with the guns. This game is heavily about the guns, of course. And the way the menu is in this, it's very easy to compare which gun is stronger. And also, they replace grenades with spells. And the spell casting is really cool in this game. In fact, some of them can be really strong. It leaves you a lot of options to just experiment with stuff. And you actually have multiple spell effects. And I just think it's really cool the way you can upgrade your character in this one. It's very similar to Borderlands games, but I think it's very refined. You just have to play it to see. One of the things I really, really like about this game is the overworld. I think it's really cool. It's kind of one of those classic top-down, almost isometric views where you're wandering the overworld and then you can run into a random encounter, and when you actually run into one of these zombies or these monsters in the overworld, it puts you into an encounter where it's basically like an arena battle, and then it's a good way to level up. Now, a lot of gamers don't really like this aspect of the game. I can kind of see why. I think it can get old, but I actually think it's a lot of fun. Now, these encounters are not like the upper level arena battles that occur in Borderlands 3 or Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 1 even. They're a lot easier to get through, but I do think it's a great way to level up. Another thing that they added that I think is really cool is a co-op mode. I haven't exactly used this yet, but you can sit there with a friend and play split screen. This is kind of an older style of gameplay. You used to be able to do it on Halo, Halo 2, and various other games, but it's really fun to actually sit with a friend and just goof around. Like my good friend Mark Thomas and I, we spent a lot of time just hanging out, drinking beers, and like doing split screen plays with Halo and just having a lot of fun. So I really like co-op games where you can do that split screen and just be in the same room. Now, one thing I do want to mention, I'm not playing the multiplayer, I'm just playing the single player game story, and that's been my experience with it. But I definitely like the story mode that I'm playing on my own, having a lot of fun with it. Now, the last game I'll talk about is Sakura of Rice and Ruin. I'm playing this on my PS5. I picked it up on the PlayStation Days of Play sale that's currently going on, depending on when you're watching this video. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with it. I'm about maybe 15 hours, maybe 16 hours into the game. So far, it is really fun. It is very linear, I will tell you that, but I think it looks amazing. And I really like the art style. The music is really beautiful. The voiceover is really great. And basically what it is there are gods and there are humans. The gods call the humans children of men. That was funny too, because that made me think of the movie Children of Men. If you've never seen that movie, check that one out. It's not horror related, but it's a great movie. But this has nothing to do with that movie, by the way. This is just kind of a coincidence in the title. But the gods call the humans children of men, and basically these children of men wandered into the territory of the gods. They were hungry. They were eating dinner in this building that holds a bunch of rice for the gods. And then you have Sakura, who is a young god, and in trying to chase the humans out, she accidentally knocks over a lamp and all the rice burns, and the gods are furious with her. The gods banish her and the humans to this island full of demons, and they are left to their own defenses. I think this is a really interesting JRPG in the fact that it's part side-scrolling action and it's part farming simulator, and it's rolled together very nice. So basically you go out and you have these battles and you try to get items and get ingredients, and you try to get things for your camp so that you can build your camp up, and obviously to survive. So the whole goal is you want to keep growing rice and you want to kill the demons. It's a really fun, interesting experience. As you advance in the game, there's more things that you can do, like crafting, very typical of JRPGs. This game is a bit on the longer side, just like most JRPGs, so you should be fair warned to that. But if you're into JRPGs, I do think this is a great one to pick up. Nice surprise. I didn't really know what to think about this game. And that about does it for this weekend watch and play, everyone. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, or give it a dislike if you don't like it. It's fine. If you like my channel, subscribe, and you can ring that bell for future notifications whenever I release new content. Until then, keep watching those horror films and keep playing those video games, and I will see you soon.